Hey there, how you doing? This is Coach Carvel Bailey, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Coach Carvel Bailey's Lunch and Learn. And on today, I want to give you seven. I want to give you seven things, seven similarities that I figured out between music performers and athletes. All right, you don't want to miss this. Make sure that you share this. Make sure you share this with somebody that can definitely benefit from learning about similarities between probably some of their top music artists as well as basketball players. All right, we'll be right back in a minute.
We make stocks. All these stocks is different teams, right? Every time that train stops, it's just a different team.
Persistence, consistency, and finishing what you started. Time. How much time are you putting into your craft? I believe you don't lose, you learn. So you just ran out of time. Does that make sense? Like that contest, y'all just ran out of time. But how much time do you think you have before it's over? Right? How you do one thing is how you do everything. Don't matter if you're a damn All-American. Like, you got a job to do, so trust. Y'all not mentally tough because y'all don't trust not only each other, but you don't trust yourself. And you don't trust yourself because how much time you putting in. The ones that put the time in, they trust one another. They believe in themselves. So if y'all believe that y'all can do it, y'all should be going harder. Y'all should be holding one another accountable. Whatever you can do to help this team, that's what y'all need to happen. Everybody can't score. Everybody ain't fast. What everybody can do, what everybody that ever plays basketball should be able to do if they play basketball, they should be able to play defense and play hard. Them the only two things you can control.
Just show hey, who want to play basketball? Honestly, who want to play basketball? All right, who has to play basketball? We just cracked the code. And dudes that y'all play, they gotta get their mom out the hood. The dudes that y'all playing, they living in a trap. The dudes that y'all playing ain't getting no sleep. So I gotta get any advantage that I can. So what choices are y'all making? That's the point I'm getting to. Are you making a choice to play defense? Are you making a choice to pass the ball? Hell, are you making a choice to come to practice? And I commend y'all because y'all here in the evening. But guess what? Circle gets smaller. Try out, that circle was big, wasn't it? Circle gets smaller, dog. Everybody don't make it.
All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon again. I want to welcome you back to another episode of Coach Carvel Bailey's Lunch and Learn. We got my Facebook and my YouTube right here. We got my Instagram audience right here, and we got podcast land in the back. Welcome. Let me know what city and state you checking in from. Let me know what city and state you checking in from. ED, what up, man? How you doing? Praying for you, man. Like praying for your strength, my brother. Definitely, always keep you in my prayers, man. I know you always popping in at the start of our every day, right? Whenever I pop on, I always see your name, so you're always checking in. But definitely got you in my prayers, E. All right, so let's talk about, and you see it scrolling, right? You see it scrolling along. And so the way that my mind is set up, all right, the way that my mind is set up most times is that I look at certain things and I have to put them in the context of life, right? I look at sports things, I put them in the context of life. I look at life things and I put them in the context of sports. Today is no different, right? Today is no different. And what I want to share with you all today, is I want to share seven things, right? I want to share seven things that I learned that top R&B performers, right? Not just music performers, but top R&B performers have in common, what they have in common with your athlete and what your athlete can learn from top music performers. So the Legacy Tour, right? New addition, Keith Sweat, Guy, Tank. Like, hey, Monday, I'll be 48, right? Monday, I'll be 48. So like that's the music that I grew up on. That's where I came up. T.Y., what up? How you doing? So here are 7 things that I learned as I'm watching Tank, as I'm watching Guy, right? And again, if you don't know these artists, you should, right? If you're here with me, you should know these artists. And I was like, hey, it's cool, Guy, but if you want to impress me, bring Aaron Hall out, right? And so Aaron Hall came out, and just like an athlete, Aaron Hall started off rusty, but then he got in rare form as he got warmed up. And I'm watching him, I'm watching Teddy Riley, I'm watching Damian Hall, right? I'm watching Keith Sweat, and I'm watching all these performers before New Edition comes out. And so here are the 7 things, right? First thing, all of these performers, they have a plan. So many of us, we want to do things, but we don't have a target. And so they had a plan to come up with this tour and travel from city to city. They're in Indiana tonight, Indianapolis. So they came up with a plan. Before your athlete can do things, they have to come up with a plan. If that's what days they're going to work out, what they're going to do when they're working out, what college they want to go to, whatever, they need a plan. So these athletes put a plan together. And then here's the second thing. Not only did they have a plan, but they were able to collaborate, right? Keith Sweat said, right? Sweat has hits. He said, I don't do too many opening acts for nobody but New Edition, right? Tank said the same thing. Guy said the same thing. They are all established musicians. They are all established professionals. But they collaborated together, and so they can push one another and hold one another accountable. Even for my parents, for you watching this, the coaches, whoever, who's in your circle? Who are you around that's possibly holding you accountable, but also who are you around that's holding you to be your best self? A lot of times athletes play buddy ball. They're not pushing each other to be their best self. It's like, you let me score, I'm gonna let you score. Not, I'm gonna dog you out today, and then the other person feeling the same way. So the first thing that these performers did was they had a plan. The second thing, they collaborated with one another. And it was an amazing show, but they collaborated with one another. And then the third thing is they understood their audience. Now I'm gonna go somewhere with y'all for a minute. A lot of you parents, right? You're about to start traveling all around the country because you're looking for exposure. You're looking for somebody to take a look at your athlete. These performers on the Legacy Tour, they made a plan, and then they collaborated with each other. But then they understood their audience. Now, when I tell you that all the seasoned saints was in the building, right? When I tell you that all the seasoned saints were in the building, you had some 20-year-olds, but majority, you had mid-30s, 40s, 50s, and probably some early 60s. I even seen some grandmothers in there that had to be 75, if not older. But they understood their audience. New Edition has been around for 40 years. Aaron Hall said last night, I'm 58. Y'all been rocking with me since 23. That's 25 years. These people have been around and established for a long time. So they understand their audience. Does that make sense? They're not coming out with their pants all sagging down like they were in clothes last night. And so a lot of your athletes are going out and they're looking for Division I offers, and they're really a junior college athlete. Or they're looking for, let's say, Division I offers, and they're probably best at a NAIA school. Every coach at an event is not your audience. Does that make sense? In New Edition, Guy, Keith Sweat, and Tank, they understood their audience. And it was a packed, I'm here in Chicago land, right? It was a packed United Center. I mean, packed, so almost sold out. They understood their audience. Frankie Beverly and Mays have been performing for about 60 years. And Frankie Beverly may go on tour once a year. And when Frankie Beverly go on tour, you're going to know who the people going to see because everybody got all white on. Does your athlete understand their audience, or are they trying to get every coach possible to take a look at them? If so, they wasting their time. Like, I know I'm on here, and I know that there are parents of high school athletes, middle school athletes that play basketball. I know there are coaches on here that coach basketball. I know my audience. I'm not up here trying to talk to football players. I'm not trying to talk to wrestlers. I know my audience. They understood their audience. So they came up with a plan, they collaborated, and then they knew their audience. That was the first part of the battle. And now here's where it really gets good. In order to perform, one has to be in shape. Now you can send your kids to all these different trainers. You can send them to all these different coaches. And they can do all these different things. But basketball players get in basketball shape from doing basketball things. I'm going to say that again. Basketball players get in basketball shape from doing basketball things. A basketball player may not get in basketball shape by running 2 miles. So it's the same thing with a performer. Now notice I said R&B because there are some rappers that all they do is they may walk around the stage and they're going to hold their mic. But R&B for performers, they're performing. So they have to be in shape, right? Following New Edition along this journey, and they've showed, right? They jump roping, they strength training, they're cardio training, because they're dancing the entire show. They're performing. They are professionals who are performing. They're in shape. They have stamina to do what their job is. A lot of your athletes' troubles, a lot of your athletes' hangups is because your athlete isn't in the condition to be a basketball player. Your athlete isn't in basketball shape. Your athlete doesn't have the stamina to perform the way they would like to perform as a basketball player. So those performers yesterday, they were in shape. They had stamina. And then another thing was that they had poise. Now, poise is being cool and calm when everything else around you is in chaos. A sold out crowd, and they knew what they needed to do, and they did it. How many times have you went to a game and the fans are loud or the fans are rowdy or something, right? It's not a perfect scenery, and athletes don't perform very well. That's because they're nervous, they're scared, and they don't have a lot of poise. I had a point guard named Martell Jackson, right? One of the best point guards that I coached in my career. He used to do the same thing Kobe Bryant did. He would bite on his jersey. And I knew when he had his jersey in his mouth, I would look at my assistants and say, oh, he focused, right? When the world is going crazy around you, how poised can you be? And these performers were poised. They got dancers behind them coming on and coming off stage. You got security on stage, right? Helping and checking out. You got all these things happening around them, but they're poised, even poised enough to remember their lyrics. Yes, they're professionals, but I've been to many rap concerts where they have you sing the words because they forgot the lyrics. These people yesterday were poised and they performed the way that they were supposed to perform. So let's recap for a minute, right? One of the first things, they planned. They came up with a plan. The second thing, they collaborated. After they collaborated, they understood their audience. Does your athlete understand their audience? Does your athlete have a plan? Does your athlete collaborate with people that's going to push them to be their greatest self, right? Does your athletes understand their audience, who they're playing for, who they're playing in front of, right? Who they're playing against? And then do they have enough stamina to perform the way in which they need to perform? Number 5, are they poised enough? And then here's 6 and 7. Here's 6 and 7. They have stage presence. Now, it's one thing to be poised, but stage presence, it comes back to the mental capacity, right? Stage presence, you got to know if you need to be on the left side of the stage, if you need to be on the right side of the stage, if you need to be in the center, right? If you need to bag up, you know everything because you have stage presence. Great basketball players have court presence. They understand where they need to be, when they need to be there, and why they need to be there. Presence. What type of court presence does your athlete have? Do they understand what's going on the court even when they're on the bench? Do they understand what's going on the court even when they're on the bench? And if they understand what's going on the court when they're on the bench, then when they come on the court, it's going to shorten their learning curve because they already know what's going on. You see a lot of athletes, they come in the game, right? And they come check in for somebody. And then they ask the person that they're checking in for, like, who you got or what defense we in. Well, you don't have presence, so you need to be on the bench. Does that make sense? These athletes had stage presence. They had stage presence. And then the last and final thing is this. I said, New Edition, 40 years. Guy, 25 years. Keith Sweat, about 30, close to 40. Tank, 15. But they're all seasoned professionals. The one thing they all have in common, that athletes really need to learn to have in common, is mastery. Mastery. These artists sang the same song that they've been singing for 30, 40 years. The same songs, the same dance moves for 20, 30, 40 years. They've mastered it. So does your athlete try to do do they try to work on something different every time they hit the court? Every time when they go into a skill development session, a training session, whatever you want to call it, are they working on something different every time they're in there? Or are they working on the same things? Remember, we talked about the work, right? Remember, we talked about the work on a previous class. We talked about athletes running from the work. Athletes run from the work because it's the same work over and over and over and over again. New Edition been doing that. If it is in love, they've been doing that for 30 years. But they've mastered it. Whatever that move is, my wife know it. I don't know it, right? If it whatever, right? They've mastered that move. And it all comes down to the fundamentals. So if your athlete is speeding through things, then they'll never have time to master it. Because mastery takes time. Mastery takes effort. Mastery takes continual involvement in what it is that you're doing. So as I was sitting and I'm watching greatness, I'm looking at it from a leadership standpoint. I'm like, man, these dudes really had a plan. These guys really collaborated with one another. Like Teddy Riley came out with Keith Sweat. Like they really work with each other. But they also understand their audience. It wasn't no drill music last night, even from the DJs. It wasn't none of that because that wasn't the audience. It wasn't no hats broke off and all that. Like, it wasn't none of that. They understood their audience. And then they had stamina. They were in shape. Most athletes aren't in shape. They aren't in basketball shape. Right? They had poise, cool and calm. But not only poise, they had stage presence. So is your athlete poised enough to perform at the highest level that they're capable of performing? And then also, do they have court presence? Do they have court presence to make the game easier for them? And then lastly, mastery. What's your athlete looking to master? How can your athlete master something if they're doing something different every other day? You can't master anything because you're doing something different every other day. So, hey, listen, those are the 7 things that I learned yesterday at this concert, right? But I also know that those are 7 things that if athletes can work on and add into their game, it'll take them to a whole nother level. 7 traits, 7 things. Stamina. But let me go in order. Planning, collaboration, audience. Planning, collaboration, audience. Stamina, poise, stage presence, mastery. Planning, collaboration, audience. Stamina, poise, stage presence, mastery. Planning, collaboration, audience, stamina, poise, court presence, mastery. Get your athletes to understand those 7 and how to apply them not only to their life, but to their game. And watch them start seeing tremendous results. All right. That's all I got for y'all today. I got to go. Okay, somebody's spamming me. Don't worry about it. We're going to delete this comment and block this person. All right, y'all. That's about it. It's Friday. All right. Monday, I will reveal some stuff about our coaching cohort, right? Monday is my B-day, right? Monday, I'll be 48, right? I'm accepting all tips on my birthday, all right? But that's about it, all right? That's all I got for y'all. I got to go before they start coming in here. I'll holler at y'all. Peace.
Yo, just so you understand it, this is Coach Carvel Bailey's program with the spirit of Bob Hambry. This is Blessed of All, helping athletes, and we represent. Study your craft, your mentality leads to excellence. It's all about your mindset. We'll never stop addressing this, so be positive and not a pessimist. Confidence took James Harden higher. If you really want it, it ain't gonna be easy. It's gonna be hard as carbon fiber, but we got you. From counseling to workshops, we do it. You'll go farther with a scholarship. We'll help you get recruited. Yo, anyone can dribble and shoot, but it's the ones who study basketball internally that make it to Duke University. Knowledge goes around. The game is played from the neck up and not from the shoulders down. This is Blessed to Ball, helping you with obstacles. The athletes are the rocket. Blessed to Ball is the rocket fuel. If you hit a wall, we can help you slowly climb it. So keep a Mamba mentality like Kobe Bryant. Blessed to Ball. Cherish the opportunities that you have. Blessed to Ball. Use your mentality to master the craft. Blessed to Ball. Come join our team. It's a new day. Follow our steps and watch how much better you play. Cherish the opportunities that you have. Use your mentality to master the craft. Come join our team, it's a new day. Follow our steps and watch how much better you play. Yo, Coach Carvel Bailey. Hey, listen to your coach, man. He ain't no scrub off the street. That man got credentials, academic and street. Believe it, and my name is strategic.